WrestleMania episode of Way Back Wrestling Mania. As always, I'm your host, Adam, and with me is my co-host, Donnie. Donnie, how's it going?
What's up, wrestling fans? It's the podcasting machine, the big nerd in green. It's the Emerald Enthusiast here to talk to you about WrestleMania.
Yeah, we haven't, I don't think we've done a show since last year's WrestleMania.
No, we did yet. Last year's WrestleMania, and that was it.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna change that. We're gonna do the show more often. We're thinking about doing the can we even call them pay-per-view anymore?
what are the big events?
The monthly, big I can't even say big show because then it sounds like I'm talking about
Who's no longer with WWE. So
he's with AEW, and I've seen him on commentary. He's really good on commentary. But anyway, we're gonna do the main event monthly shows. How about that? It's a mouthful, but
yeah,
here we are.
Right.
That's what it is because they've made it so confusing. Because pay-per-view is not a thing now, it's streaming and all 9 yards. But anyway, so that's going to be our plan. But what a better way to kick off this new arrangement than with the biggest show of the year, WrestleMania.
Granddaddy of them all.
Yes, and this was WrestleMania 37, correct?
Yes, WrestleMania 37.
I know that because WrestleMania is as old as I am. That's depressing. But as was the case last year, it was a 2-night event affair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually hoping that becomes a regular occurrence.
Likewise, I really like that. I don't like a 4 or 5 hour show. I think that really kind of drags and it asks a lot of the audience. I think breaking it up into 2 nights is definitely a plus.
I mean, they break it up and you get a 6 hour show. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't seem so laborious.
Yeah.
So,
and it also gives more of the talent a chance to be on the show.
It's a great way to showcase all these abilities and all these feuds. So
yeah. So I like the 2-part aspect. The difference between last year and this year is that there were audience in the crowd. And I'm of two minds of that. On the one hand, it was great to have to see the reaction and the pop, the pop of the live crowd and such.
Yeah.
But I was looking around every time they showed a crowd shot, and there were a lot of people with masks, but there were also people that either had their mask down or not at all. And I think that is just now, unless everybody in that arena was tested beforehand, before they entered, or there was some confirmation that everybody in there had a vaccine, then it's a different ball game. But I'm assuming that was not the case.
I doubt it very seriously.
And that's a little dangerous on my end. I hope everybody ends up okay and nothing. But that seemed a little bit...
Yeah. If you're not in the United States and you're listening to this or watching this, the virus is not under control here.
Yeah,
even with the vaccinations taking place.
There's very few countries that have it under control.
Yeah,
Canada's not one of them either. So I can't pull up Bret Hart and say Canada's better than everybody else because that's not the case. Like we're currently in a 6-week lockdown, and I use air quotes because it's not really. It's not really a lockdown, but anyway. So that was a little concerning to me. Yeah. On the one hand, but on the other hand, it was cool to
and I will give WWE credit for promoting the vaccines. You saw that during some of the promos.
They are doing their part. So
yes.
It just so happens that they're in Florida, and Florida is doing Florida things.
That's a good way to put it.
and there we are. So I hope everybody's all right. I hope everybody's good.
Likewise.
And that's all you can say. Interestingly enough, they went back to the Thunderdome on their weekly shows. So what does that tell you? And I highly doubt you're going to see a live crowd for their next monthly event. I think it'll just be...
Now, I have heard that they're going to try to do a live crowd for SummerSlam.
Well, that makes sense. I guess that makes sense because if their strategy for now is, the bigger name events, then I guess, sure.
hopefully we have progressed with our pandemic response.
Hopefully by August, everybody's.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, hopefully things look different in August than they do now. So.
Yeah, but it seems like we've been saying that for a year and a half, Donnie.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Forever. So.
So I don't know. I can just control what I can control, and that's what I'm trying to do, and that's what Donnie's trying to do, and hope everybody listen to the advertisements that WWE is putting out.
Yeah. If
you have an opportunity to get a vaccine, I would recommend getting it. I can't tell you how to live your life, but that would be my recommendation.
Yes.
So that's all I can say. Yeah. But let's talk about the fun stuff, which is actually WrestleMania itself.
Yes.
So we've got a lot of matches to get through. So let's right through. Well, let's talk. I mean, I guess we're going to start with the hosts.
Yes.
We had Titus O'Neil.
Yes.
And depending on your when you grew up watching him, either the Immortal Hulk Hogan or Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I had the pleasure of seeing both. So it's kind of like if I was wearing a Hulk Hogan shirt, it'd be half red and yellow, half NWO. So that would be me. But yeah, so those were the hosts.
Yeah. Obviously, last year, if you listen to our WrestleMania podcast from last year, which you can find on iTunes and Podbean.
Yeah.
Shameless plug. And you can find that.
You're the world champion of shameless plugs, Donnie.
All right.
We got to make a belt.
Yeah. There we go.
We're going to start a Kickstarter for a championship belt. Shameless plugs champion, and that would be
shameless plugs and dad jokes.
I'll award it to Donnie for his birthday.
But I called for Titus O'Neil last year. I definitely think he would have been a better choice than Rob Gronkowski. Yeah. And this year, I think I was proven right on that. He did very well. Hulk Hogan, little bit of a controversial choice. We heard some boos in the crowd. I don't think I need to go into all the controversies with Hogan in the last 10 years, but I think it was a good idea to pair him with Titus O'Neil. So,
yeah, and like I said, I'm of the belief with anything in terms of the controversial issue. All I'll say is, if somebody legitimately tries to make themselves better and change their ways, again, there's a limit. I mean, if you're a murderer, you're a murderer, and there are things I can't forgive. But to an extent. If you try and learn from your mistakes and make yourself a better person, then go for it. So that but in terms of contribution to the wrestling business, you can't deny Hulk Hogan's efforts in that area.
Sure.
So there's that. But I mean, the hosts really didn't have all that much to do. My favorite host was 2 years ago, Donnie?
Yes. Miss Alexa Bliss, because
my multiverse wife.
Yes. You want to explain that to the people really quick before we get into the podcast?
Okay, so because maybe we haven't done a wrestling one in a year, and so maybe there's a segment of the audience that only listens to this because it's wrestling. But on all my other shows, which are available on YouTube, Podbean, and iTunes. How'd I do there, Johnny? Good? Mm-hmm. Maybe we could create tag team championship belts.
There you go.
For Sheamus. Anyway, I have a multiverse wives list where all the women that I find stunningly attractive or have a crush on are on one of the earths, and they are on that earth, my alternate self is married to one of those women. And Alexa Bliss, of course, is
she's on the list.
to borrow from former WWE superstar Chris Jericho. No stealing of gimmick intended. But so she was my favorite host, and so nothing can compare to her hosting duties. But that's neither here nor there. I just have to point that out. So the hosts really didn't. I don't think they affected the show overly one way or the other. But again, much better than Rob Gronkowski, but that wouldn't have taken much. So there's that. But let's get right into the matches because there were a lot of them. So, yeah.
Okay, so we opened up with the WWE title match, and that was Drew McIntyre against Bobby Lashley. And I noticed good crowd support for Drew. Lashley had a little bit himself. And I have to say that Lashley, he really had a perfect entrance video. And he's very statuesque when he is standing there with his fingers pointed in the air with the belt around his waist.
Yeah.
He looks like a champion. He is just amazingly built, and I have to give him credit. A lot of guys lose a step after they hit 40. In fact, most guys lose a step after they hit 40. Lashley is doing amazingly well, considering he'll be 45 in July.
I've lost about 5 steps, and I'm only 37.
Yeah. The match was amazing. The timing was really crisp, and there was a lot of solid back and forth wrestling. A lot of holds that I thought were good. You know, they didn't just get in there and trade blows and do the high impact stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of different holds. I really liked the Kimura spot on the ropes. And
yes.
I thought the second time that McIntyre locked in the Kimura lock, I thought that was over at that point. And there was some great camera work there. They zoomed in on it. And Lashley has some great flexibility in his arm to make it look realistic.
Yeah.
It looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
So
I really enjoyed the match. Like you said, there was a good mix of like power moves because both guys are, you know, quite massive, but also technical wrestling, which was nice to see.
Right.
And I've liked this feud the way it's been built, you know, up over the months. I honestly, I'll be honest with you, I was shocked that Drew didn't win the title.
You know, likewise, but I will say this, in retrospect, I think it was the right call. Because just like I said, with Lashley being 45, almost 45, and performing at this level, you've got to get what you can out of him at this point. Because you don't know when he might hit that cliff, when he might say, look, the schedule or, you know, the grind of this business is too much. And who would blame him at 47 or 48?
Yeah, I think eventually Drew will win it back. I think that's the plan.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be at WrestleMania Backlash. Is that what they're calling it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it'll be. I don't know if it'll be there, or maybe they have a series of matches where Drew just can't overcome him. You know, through various means, and then it's a thing where at SummerSlam, maybe
it could be
that's where he retakes it. Mm-hmm. I'm just kind of. I really hope Brock doesn't enter the picture.
Yeah, I mean that's somebody that, I mean, you know, again, he's older too, and we've seen so much of Brock. I'm much more interested in Lashley.
My fear is that it's eventually going to turn into a 3-way at SummerSlam between Brock, Lashley, and Lesnar. Yeah, and I don't want that at all.
Right. No, likewise, I you know, there are certain wrestlers who I think you see them a certain amount of time, and you've seen them do everything, and you just don't want to see them anymore. So
yeah, and I think so. I
have all the respect in the world for Lesnar, but I mean, you're talking about a guy who main evented off and on for almost 20 years. So
a great athlete. When he wants to put on a show, he can put on a show. But then there's that other side of him where when he doesn't give a crap, he's just going to mail it in. Yeah.
Well, these two guys didn't. And I really like the way the match ended, the storytelling there with Drew almost getting out of the Hurt Lock, almost, and then not being able to do it. I really liked how that ended.
Just went unconscious, right?
Yeah. I really liked
that. But also,
so.
and if you think about it, the reason he lost the match was because of a distraction by MVP. So both guys end up looking incredibly strong. It doesn't take away from Lashley's win, but it doesn't mean that Drew got outright beat. Right. So it allows for the feud to continue. So I really like the ending. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I like the balance between powerful, you know, blows and technical holds. So I thought it was a great match. Yeah.
So are we doing ratings based on 5 stars? 1 to 5 stars? Yeah. So I gave this one. This was one of the best matches on the card. I gave it 4.5 stars. I'm not really sold on the MVP distraction. I thought they could have done something else to lead toward the end. That was actually the only negative. Is I thought, Drew having already been in all these title matches, he shouldn't be able to be distracted by an outside voice.
Yeah, true.
So
yeah, that's fair. I'll go ahead. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. That was one of the better matches of the night. So yeah, 4.5. Yeah. Out of 5. Yeah. It was just so weird to see a WWE Championship match at the top of the card. That was awkward.
Well, there was some controversy about that. Some fans thought that it definitely should have gone on as the last match of the day. But actually, Bobby Lashley, I saw him say that he didn't feel any rivalry with the ladies match, and he understood how historic that was.
Oh no, yeah, I don't think they should have changed the order. It was just weird seeing it first up on the card. You know what I mean?
Yeah, likewise. It was unusual, but when you think about,
because the match we got at the end of the card was something else. Yeah.
Likewise, yeah, definitely good. So. All right, so the second match, that was the tag team turmoil match. And we get Naomi up first. We get Naomi and Lana against Carmela and Billie Kay, who making her last appearance, I guess.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah. So Naomi, she did a really beautiful high kick spot. I really like the pace here. I'm not sure that this match was the best formula for a WrestleMania match. I think that the fans really didn't know what to expect next, what was coming next. But I do like the fact that they used this as a launching pad into the next night.
Yes.
So yeah, I did like that.
So that the winner gets a title shot on night 2.
Yeah.
Which raises the stakes for this match.
Yes.
Because if you have just 4 teams or however many there were, fighting for nothing, right? Then what's the point?
Yeah. So really quick pace. Billie Kay and Carmella pick up the pin, and then comes the Riot Squad, who maintain the pace with them. Really nice finisher there.
I like that team. The Riot Squad, there's talent there.
Definitely, yes.
There's a lot of talent with those 2 women, and it has nothing to do with the fact that Liv Morgan wore a Harley Quinn-inspired outfit.
Well, I've got to say, yeah, I mean, they were
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed that, though. I did notice the Harley Quinn inspiration.
Yes.
And I got to do it, Donnie. Today's going to be clicking, all kinds of clicking. Because Liv Morgan, with that outfit, that Harley Quinn-inspired outfit, is on the list.
He's on the list, okay.
Now, Vince, listen. I don't know if you're listening. Vince, Triple H, Stephanie, I don't care whichever one is listening. I'm making a plea for a match at SummerSlam. And I don't care how you have to divert from the storyline to do it. But somehow get Alexa Bliss for at least temporarily off of this freaky phase, even though I'm kind of weirdly down with that. But temporarily, and I'll get more into that later, but temporarily get her out of this freaky phrase for SummerSlam. Have her go back to her Harley Quinn-inspired outfit. And I want to have a Harley versus Harley match between Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss. And hell, if you want to include Margot Robbie as a special guest referee, I don't know how many times I could pay for WrestleMania or SummerSlam, but if there's more than one time I can pay for it, I will. So come on, Triple.
Yeah. Well, that would get some attention.
Make the match. Somebody make the match.
Yeah.
William Regal, I don't care who does it. Make the match.
So next up in this match, we get the Riot Squad versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. And we got early interference by the entrance ramp because it cut the legs out from under Mandy Rose and she hit the deck.
I felt so bad for her, but I was like,
she posted on Twitter the next day. She's like, my butt hurts.
Also, Donnie, I can't. When you say Mandy Rose, I cannot not say she's on the list. I told you the pen. I'm going to get arthritis just by clicking this pen.
For those of you who don't know, DC has just moved from a multiverse to an omniverse, meaning that the reality is even bigger, and we need that now to accommodate all the different versions of Adam that are out there with multiverse lives.
I've destroyed the universe with this list.
Yeah.
But no, I'm actually really impressed with their in-ring ability of Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. I mean, look, they're both stunning.
Yeah.
They're both incredibly nice to look at, but they have the talent in the ring, which is more important as well.
Yes.
I just don't know. Interestingly enough, Donnie, WWE's got some really great female tag teams. I don't know which one's going to get the next run with the titles.
Well, that's something that I was going to save till later on in the show, but I'll say it now. I'll say it now. The women's division is stronger than I think it's ever been. Absolutely. Give WWE credit. In particular, I've heard that it's Triple H who's been responsible for expanding and improving the women's division.
Yeah.
So
I can see. Listen, just from watching NXT, most of whatever good creative decisions are coming from WWE are likely Triple H is doing, and not Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
As sad as that is to say, but.
So they kept the pace going in this. I like the Riot kick spot. One thing I didn't like, though, is there was I don't like the shoulder tags. I think that it should always be a hand-to-hand tag. Yeah. There was actually a butt tag in this match. And
not opposed to that.
But in terms of the story, I'm like, slapping somebody on the butt is not a tag. But anyway.
It's more harassment, depending on the situation.
Yeah. So the Riot Squad, they won with a roll-up of Liv Morgan. And then we get Natalya and Tamina coming out. So they worked very stiff, and that would roll over into the next night. So a lot of stiff spots, but a lot of great selling, a lot of great storytelling. And the win for Natalya and Tamina came after Tamina using the Superfly Splash.
And I think them winning that match made some degree of sense because they're both legacy performers in the sense of, Tamina is related to Jimmy Snuka.
Yes.
And Natalya is a relative of Bret Hart, right?
Bret Hart, yes. Jim Neidhart's daughter. Yes.
Right, correct, yeah.
Yes.
See, we're like Donnie, we're like the Hart Foundation. I'm like Bret, and you're like Jim. You got the beard too. So there you go. No, but it's either that or Big Show, and you'd have to do this and make that noise every episode. We don't want to do that. I think. First of all, the finisher off the top rope was great.
Yeah.
And such a great callback. It's like I had flashbacks.
Yeah.
I'd almost like to see them get a run with. They should be in that, it almost feels like they should be in that spot.
Yes.
Like
now, was that Triple H calling us to co-host WrestleMania next year?
Possibly,
I'm ready.
I'll do it. But I want to meet and greet with Alexa Bliss first. That's my. You don't have to pay me. That's all I ask for.
Okay.
Lunch with Alexa Bliss. That's all I want, Vince.
Okay, yeah.
Give me what I want.
All right, Batista. Give me what I want.
No, but like I said, I think with a couple more weeks and months of working as a tag team, I think Natalya and Tamina could win the titles, and that could be viable.
Yeah, likewise. So what would you give this match?
The whole match as a whole, I think I'll give it a 3.5.
That's what I wanted to give it, 3.5. Yeah.
The ending and the work by Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott really carried this match for me.
Yeah.
So, but those ladies, they all did a very solid job. They're all very incredibly talented. The only team that to me feels a little bit, I'm not sure. I don't know if they have a tag team championship run in their future, is Naomi and Lana.
Yeah.
Naomi is incredibly talented.
Yeah.
Lana's the one that is just I don't know. She doesn't click with me.
Well, and with Miro over in AEW, you never know if they're going to want to, highlight somebody. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised that she survived the recent cuts.
Yeah, I just kind of assumed since Miro went over there
Because
she'd
Chelsea
be
Green,
soon to follow.
Chelsea Green, a fellow Canadian, which I gotta shout out. I love Chelsea Green in NXT. I think she never got a fair shake. Plus her injury, when she got to SmackDown, didn't help matters either. But because her husband, which is formerly Zack Ryder,
right,
is now with Impact. I'm almost 95% sure that that's partly what led to her being cut, because she's immensely talented, and when she's let loose creatively, I think she could be an asset. So if she does go to Impact or AEW or wherever she lands, I think she's going to be an incredible asset. But yeah, I would have thought Lana, and again, no offense to Lana, I don't mean this to be negative, but she seems like the less in-ring talented.
Mm-hmm. I will give her credit though; she took a lot
She's improving, but she's still of the bunch of ladies, she's the least, in-ring talented.
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying. Yeah, she took a lot of spots through tables this year though.
She's
you got to applaud her toughness.
Got to give her credit. She is improving, but I just don't know with her husband on the other side. I don't know if she has much longer in WWE.
Yeah. So, all right. Next up was Cesaro versus Rollins, and I gotta say
I love this match. I love this rivalry.
Well, I think you are in line with most of the WWE universe, because there was a lot of crowd reaction here. People really like this match.
Yeah.
They love to boo Rollins.
Oh yeah, he's a great heel.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to give Rollins. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Donnie.
Go ahead.
I got to give Rollins a lot of credit, because when he was the baby face, like dethroning Brock Lesnar, I was 100% behind him. And now as a heel, I 100% hate him, like in the context of the storyline, right?
Yeah.
But
Seth Rollins has definitely brought out this different part of his personality that is easy to boo.
Yeah.
So, and the crowd was very, very into the swing every time. Cesaro starts that. I mean, the crowd just loves it. So, a lot of high impact moves here. I did like the storyline with Cesaro not being able to use his arm.
Yeah.
And he persevered.
And he sold that injury very well.
Yeah. And I really like that they brought up that this was his first singles win at WrestleMania to make it feel special.
But that also kind of disturbed me. This guy deserves a lot more of a push.
Yeah. Well, and that did seem to kind of proliferate into a program seemingly with Roman Reigns, because on SmackDown,
I saw last night.
Yeah, just last night on SmackDown, he fought Jey Uso. So maybe that's where that leads for Cesaro.
but Donnie, I'd like to see, and again, let me just shout out both performers are fantastic in-ring competitors. Yes, there's the gimmicky moves of the spin on the head and then the leg spin, which are hilarious, and they take a lot of strength on Cesaro's part, because he's lifting another 300, 200 to 300 plus pound man.
Yeah.
But
Cesaro's renowned for his strength anyway.
Yeah.
So.
But
I've heard Big E talk about how strong he is. If Big E's impressed, the guy's strong.
I got dizzy watching Cesaro spin the Rollins around. But like I'd love to see him in a program with Roman. Problem is, I don't think that they'd ever let him beat Roman.
No, probably not.
I want to see him, like, to me, Cesaro is a quintessential Intercontinental Champion.
Well, it could be with with the new Intercontinental Champion that we'll talk about coming up here. So that's possible.
So I want to see. I hope he gets a title opportunity.
Yeah.
With a title that they'll actually allow him to hold.
Yeah.
And look, if they allowed him to run with the WWE Championship for a bit, I'd welcome it.
It would be believable. I think he has a lot of fan support. Sure.
But I just have a feeling that Vince wants a bigger guy in that spot.
Well, historically, that's been the case.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
one spot I do want to call out here in the match, and I thought there were a couple kind of loose spots that kept this from being a little bit higher grade, but there was a corkscrew splash by Seth Rollins that was
insanity.
Oh my goodness.
Insanity.
Yeah. So give this match a 4. I thought it was great. The crowd was really into it, and that's wonderful to see. That's the ultimate goal, is to entertain the crowd. So
yeah, I give it a 4 as well. I'm really taking more of a liking to Cesaro each time I see him out there.
Yes. So what would you rate this match?
Yeah, 4 as well for me. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
4 to 5. Yeah. So far, we're simpatico, Donnie.
Right. So far. So next up, we have AJ Styles and the debuting Omos versus the New Day, as in Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston for the Raw Tag Team Championships. So now, usually, again, got to point out your biases here. Kofi Kingston has been my favorite wrestler for 11 years now.
Sure.
And that's usually because he's in the best match of the card. That was not the case here. Not that he didn't work well, but this was definitely not in my top 3. I really think that WWE did a good job here of getting 3 guys in AJ and the New Day who could work a memorable, believable match and protect Omos if he didn't do well.
Yeah.
And so they stayed to formula, but it was still memorable because obviously people were anticipating Omos getting in the ring. And, it's been a long time, really since Big Show retired and it stopped being a full-time guy, that they've had a legitimate giant, a guy who's over 7 foot. So the debut of Omos was something that a lot of people were anticipating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he is enormous.
He's a big dude. And again, I like what you're saying about how they used 3 really talented in-ring performers to kind of cover for Omos.
Right.
And to be fair, Omos really didn't do anything.
No, he had a few moves at the end, but it wasn't. You didn't expect him to get into the ring and wrestle a classic. He was there.
No, but I wanted to see him do other stuff beyond just. Yes, a big man can do a choke slam. We know.
Yeah.
Can he do anything? This is my issue with AJ. Let's call it what it is. The New Day lost. I personally wouldn't have done that because I think this, however long this tag team championship reign lasts for AJ and Omos, it's largely going to be a one-man show with AJ doing all the work, and then Omos is going to come in, choke slam somebody, and that'll be the end of the match.
So I wasn't happy with the 1-foot pin on Kofi Kingston. Again, that's my personal bias there is I don't think Kofi should have lost in that manner.
Yeah. So to me, I didn't really care for this match. Again, all the 3 guys that actually did the wrestling did a great job. I just didn't care for the match. I thought the result was ridiculous. I think AJ deserves better than being the can't call him the closer. Right. The workhorse for a big man who because of the fact that again they really didn't let him do anything tells me he's very limited.
But he could mean money down the road. I mean, I think there's that possibility. So they're trying to protect him.
I haven't seen enough of him to say that, this guy's got big money potential. So far, from how they've built him up, I don't see that. They've done nothing to show me that he's done that or that he is capable of that. So remember when Braun Strowman won the tag team championship with that kid?
Yes.
That was cool because you're fulfilling a young kid who I don't know if the kid was sick or not or what have you, or if he was going through treatment or what have you. But that was cool because you're fulfilling a kid's dream. Mm-hmm. That felt like this without the cool factor.
Okay.
Without the sweet, without the heartwarming factor. That's essentially what this was. So I'm not. I wasn't. This, what to me, was the worst match I saw.
Okay.
This was the worst thing on the card.
I definitely have a worse match, but okay. So go ahead, give us your rating then.
This to me, and this is purely because of the other three guys, is a 2.5.
Okay. I gave it 3.5. I really thought that you had three veterans setting up a rookie for what they're trying to do with him. Obviously, I mean, this was a template for Omos getting over, and I thought they accomplished what they could do on this card.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So next up we have, let's see, Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a steel cage match.
Donnie, I gotta say, there's something wonderfully entertaining about watching Shane McMahon get his ass whooped.
Well, I don't think you're alone in that.
It fills me with so much joy. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I
don't necessarily feel that this was a match that they should have had at WrestleMania. I thought they could have done something a little bit better with Strowman. That being said, they set it up perfectly with Strowman getting attacked before the match started to try to even the odds for Shane McMahon, who's an aging part-timer.
Yeah.
I wasn't exactly sold on the impetus for this feud, which is, Braun being so upset that he was called stupid, and I like how he was like, I'm doing this for everybody on the planet who's ever been called stupid. And, so I was watching this show with a friend of mine who is actually a wrestling manager. He goes by the name Spencer Chestnut, very talented. And we kind of joke that, somewhere on the planet, there's some kid living in a village or whatever who got called stupid at school. And, we should call him up and say, do you know that Braun Strowman beat Shane McMahon in a match because you got called stupid?
But my thing is, I've been called worse than that. And that just rolled off me. So it's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
But then again, if somebody called me a disparaging name, especially at school or whatever, I'll show you. I walk with one of these, and can you see the cane?
Yes.
It's being.
Yeah, there you go, right there. Yeah, you got a good shot of it.
Yeah. So what I would do is, as I was walking through the halls, if I would hear somebody mutter under their breath, an insulting name, I just, make it look accidental and whack him in the shins, and just make it look like an accident, like oops, sorry, I put the cane in the wrong place. And that was the end of it. They'd be rubbing their shins, and I'd be moving on to the next. So to me, I didn't need Braun Strowman to beat Shane McMahon to handle my business. I did it on my own.
I like how devious you are there, though. That's definitely wrestling inspired.
I can tell you some other stories, but I'll keep those for off air.
Okay. Yeah. Now there were a lot of good spots in this match. In particular, the one where Braun threw Shane off the top of the cage.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Wow. So, yeah.
Gotta give credit to Shane McMahon. He's willing to nearly kill himself to entertain the crowd.
Right. Although that being said, he does get a big payday for WrestleMania. So.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, he's the owner's son, so I mean, his payday can't be all that bad anyway.
Yeah.
This is just bonus money, I would think, for him.
Yeah. So yeah, and Braun. He came out looking strong. It gave him a chance to pose and roar and remind everybody why he's a valuable part of the roster. So.
I like Braun a lot. I liked his run as Universal Champion.
Yeah. Well, he was another one that I think it took WWE too long to use him properly. So I hope they don't make that mistake with Omos. Get the most out of him that you can. So
Yeah, but I liked Braun's run as Universal Champion. It's a shame that it didn't last a little bit longer.
Yeah,
and I gotta give Braun some credit. He's got good taste because he's got the Superman tattoo on his shoulder. Right. I don't know if you noticed that. So.
And he was involved with Alexa Bliss in a storyline for a while.
Right, which made me incredibly jealous because I'd like to catch Alexa Bliss off the top rope, and nobody give me that opportunity. Come on, Vince. I mean, listen, we'd probably both fall over because just
Yeah.
It is, but hey, why put me in that spot, Vince? Come on, man.
Yeah, I really like those packages where he was trying to teach her how to lift trucks.
Yeah.
That was funny. So,
I like what they call themselves. They had a name for themselves.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I do remember those skits though, where she was wearing, the big like 5XL shirts or whatever, and it came down to her ankles, and he was trying to teach her how to lift trucks. So that was a funny.
I think they were good together, and
yeah,
I like the little romantic tease that they had going for a bit.
Yeah,
So
yeah, 2.5 stars for me. It wasn't a bad match. I thought it would have been fine for a SmackDown. I just didn't think it was necessarily WrestleMania worthy. So
yeah, I didn't think it needed to be on WrestleMania. It was a 3 out of 5. Okay. But again, that spot where he throws Shane off the cage into the ring was pretty.
Obviously that was memorable.
Like I like the fact that he actually climbed back down, because I'm like, if he jumps on you from there, you're gonna break a lot of bones or you're gonna be dead.
Or he might as well. Somebody that big shouldn't be coming off the top like that. That's dangerous.
Yeah. So, I'm like, one of the two things is gonna happen. So I'm glad he walked down.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are memorable, a lot of amazing graphics this year. I really like the graphic of the skeleton pirate holding the sword over the event. Really memorable. I like that. They did a Hall of Fame package, and I got to say, for younger viewers, if you've never seen Jushin Thunder Liger, do yourself a favor, get online, find some of his matches. That guy was absolutely amazing. Yeah. So one of my favorites, if you're wondering why we're doing this podcast, I've been a wrestling fan for 40 years. I've seen wrestling from all over the world, and I love this business. I love the art form that it is, if you can call it an art form. Regardless, I love this form.
For sure, yeah.
I love this form of entertainment. So Jushin Liger is definitely worth your time if you've never seen him. So
agreed, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the next match we have is Miz and Morrison against Damian Priest and Bad Bunny. So what are your thoughts, sir?
Okay, I just got to say this. I'm losing my patience in general with Miz and Morrison's, antics and their characters.
Okay.
Both guys are better than that, and they just come off as buffoons.
Okay.
So I've never liked their characters to begin with. Damian Priest, they seem to be building towards something with him. He's got a lot of potential, and I'm talking championship potential. He's got good size. He's got good power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's got good mobility as well. So he's really the total package, not Lex Luger, but you know what I mean. And so I think he's got a bright future. Up until recently, up until Raw, he was undefeated. I think it was stupid that he lost the way he did on Raw, but I digress. So I really think Damian Priest has a big things coming for him. But very few celebrity matches entertain me anymore. I didn't need this cross promotion with Bad Bunny. I don't listen to his music. I never will. It just is what it is. I got to give him credit. When he was in the ring, he looked pretty good. So he did a fair amount of training, and he pulled off some moves pretty well. So I got to give him credit. But
that's fair, sure.
But the match did nothing for me. You knew that Bad Bunny and Damian Priest were going to win. Again, like I said, I've grown tired of the Miz and Morrison pair, and the whole thing with the bunnies in the costume at the beginning, and playing that whole stupid, ridiculous rap that they came out. It's like, just stop, end it. Like, why waste time? You could have shaved off 15 to 20 minutes off of the show.
Yeah. Well, what I'll say here, first of all, I didn't know who Bad Bunny was until this program. I'd never heard of the guy. Yeah. I'm sure he's talented. Obviously, I saw that he's touring. He obviously has a lot of fans. Okay.
His music isn't for me.
Okay, and maybe he's a wonderful guy, but if you've ever listened to me talk about wrestling, I do not like celebrities being involved in the ring.
But did you like Mr. T in WrestleMania 1?
Well, there are a few exceptions.
Yeah, because that one,
Okay, people like a Mike Tyson or a Rampage Jackson who have been involved in combat sports and who look like they're tough. Bad Bunny looked like a modern day Andy Kaufman, and the fact that he could do the moves that really didn't impress me, because I looked at it and I looked at somebody who is obviously not a fighter, trying to be portrayed as equal to the people who are on the show every week, being sold to us as legitimate fighters. This breaks the illusion, and I hate it regardless of what celebrity is in the ring.
Yeah, that's fair.
Outside of, again, somebody who's in a combat sport. So I actually felt bad for Miz and Morrison. I felt bad for Damian Priest.
Yeah.
The match was a 1. This is the only match I'll never watch again on the card. So,
I'll agree with you. Did I say the other match was the worst of the night?
Yeah, you said that there was another match that was worse. This was far and away. This was the only one that I wish I could have fast forwarded through it.
Yeah, so. This was worse. This was worse than the other one that I didn't like. Yeah. I'll give it a 1.5 because he was able to do the moves. So I'll give him a 0.5 because he could do the moves.
Yeah, and I'm fine with the guy being there and helping raise WrestleMania's visibility, just not in the ring.
Yeah, clearly he trained. He did some work.
Yeah.
But to say you're on equal footing, like you said, look, I may not like their gimmick right now, but Miz and Morrison are both, incredibly talented in-ring performers, and to have them essentially job for this guy,
right?
Yeah, no.
I always draw the comparison of, this is an illusion. You're trying to sell me an illusion.
You know why Brooklyn Brawler worked as a jobber?
Mm-hmm.
Because he was already in the ring when his opponent came out.
Yeah.
You can't give Miz and Morrison all that fanfare, the dressed up bunnies. By the way, I would have liked that entrance if they brought out Playboy bunnies, but I digress. Anyway, but a lot more pen clicking if that was the case. But anyway.
Got to keep it kid friendly though. You got to be careful with WrestleMania.
I forgot it's the PG-13 era. Yeah, I forgot.
Yes.
So I guess The Godfather wasn't coming out. Anyway.
Probably not.
Yeah. But you can't give Miz and Morrison an entrance like that and then have them, let's job to the rapper.
Exactly. So, now that Bad Bunny has moved on back to his career, and again, he may be a wonderful person, but why do I want to watch Miz and Morrison?
Yeah.
If they can't be the musicians?
I did it before. No, I really don't.
Yeah. And again, this goes for any celebrity. Just keep the celebrities out of the ring. Yeah. All right. So we moved on from that match to.
Wait, let me just correct you.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
The only time a celebrity is allowed in the ring is if it's Margot Robbie and she's a special guest referee. There, I've solved your problem, WWE.
That special guest referee that's fine.
That solved the problem. Yeah, there you go.
I love celebrities, lending their fame to WWE. I just don't want to see them portrayed as equals.
Well, you should have seen. By the way, I'm going to point you in this direction. Mr. T. What's his name? Mike Tyson. Mm-hmm. His current run in AEW is turning out to be a humdinger. You should check it out.
Yeah, no, like that.
And I just wanted to use the word humdinger, but yeah.
We know when Mike Tyson punched Shawn Michaels, who's one of my favorite wrestlers, that was fine because we know how tough Mike Tyson is.
Yeah,
I didn't have a problem with
that.
Mike
Tyson could legitimately beat the crap out of somebody.
Oh, of course.
And I'd say the same for Mr. T.
Yes. So, there are rare occasions I think it's fine, but not for somebody who, again, looks the way Bad Bunny does. There's nothing wrong with being slender,
let's be honest, I could probably beat up Bad Bunny.
He does not look like a fighter. I'm sorry. So, yeah. All right, so next up we have the much-lauded match, Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair.
Oh, my God. Wow.
And this was a wonderful match. Definitely one of the best on the card. Sasha Banks, first off, I have to say, she did a wonderful job of looking villainous. The makeup and the hair coloring and everything, her mannerisms. Sasha is somebody, she has a following. And so for her to turn the crowd on her, she did a really good job of coming off as, a jerkosaurus. So you didn't want to root for her. And then out comes the challenger, Bianca Belair, who is in, first of all, amazing shape.
Oh, yeah.
And she brings this energy. She's this, big muscular woman, but she brings this kind of happy child type of energy to the ring. And I just couldn't wait to see this match. And man, did it deliver. Yeah, or should I say woman did it deliver?
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of things. She may be, for the purposes of this feud, a jerkosaurus.
Yeah.
But Sasha Banks on the list. Not to be outdone, Bianca Belair on the list. But
she's married in this world, so it definitely has to be a world where
it's a different universe,
different version. So
I'm not what's it called, a homewrecker,
right.
But at least the main universe of me is, and I can't speak to the alternate versions of me.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe
there may be a bunch of pricks for all I know.
Yeah, there's an Adam who laughs out there somewhere.
Yeah.
So
there's an Adam who laughs, and then there's an Adam who cries, and that one's forced to watch. That one's forced to watch Batman and Robin every day. Anyway, but like, what got me was the very real emotion. I mean, you could throw it, like, all the makeup, all the posturing, all the posing. Mm-hmm. You throw that out for a second. When those two women were in the middle of the ring, you can flat out see Bianca Belair crying.
Yeah.
And you can see Sasha getting emotional but holding back, full on tears. That alone shows you the importance of this match. A couple of things that really stood out. There was that moment where Bianca bench pressed Sasha over her head, carried her up the steps, and then threw her in the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive.
Military pressing somebody is hard. Carrying them and balancing them while you're ascending steps is amazing.
Now, again, I'm not saying, because Sasha Banks is in incredible shape. She looks great. So don't mistake what I am about to say. That's got to be that's got to be very, stressful to carry somebody. I don't care how good shape you are. I mean, imagine, like Hulk Hogan body slamming Andre the Giant is one thing, or slamming somebody like Yokozuna, who's Yokozuna's less muscle and more girth.
Yes.
But with Sasha, yes, she's very she's in great shape, but still, you're talking about somebody that weighs at least 100 pounds. Let's say that, right? I'm not trying to say anything inappropriate, but so that's got to be taxing. I don't care who you are.
Yes.
So you got to give credit to Bianca Belair for that. I got to give credit to Sasha for when she had, Bianca in holds. Mm-hmm. She really looked like she was trying to rip, break her neck or rip her arm off, or like she sold the fact that I'm going to break this woman's body parts.
And using her ponytail against her for the majority of the match.
Yeah, and by the way, that ponytail, that whip.
Oh man,
I heard that sound and I was like, oh.
Seriously, I replayed that for my wife, and then I showed her the camera close up. That she obviously really hurt her with that. Sasha. I'm guessing Sasha knew that was coming, and she just took it. That was,
I'm assuming that when they did the match planning, they probably brought that up. That was probably. I don't think she just did it.
Right.
Willy nilly said, "Here, let me whip you with that." Yeah, I think that was all planned, but still.
Yeah.
Ouch.
But yeah, I love the storytelling. Sasha, her heel tactics against Bianca's Belair's, enthusiasm and athleticism. It told a great story.
Oh, yeah.
And applaud WWE here for bringing out the fact that we had 2 black women in the main event for the title. That was a landmark scenario, and they delivered.
Absolutely.
And long past due, and definitely, give WWE credit for highlighting that.
It's funny, you know what Sasha Banks, because up until her feud with Bianca, the crowd was behind Sasha, like they were with her. So this kind of having the crowd turn, like playing to the crowd for them to turn on her,
yes,
reminded me of the Hogan versus Rock match, where during the match, The Rock had to essentially go heel because the crowd was cheering so hard for Hogan. Mm-hmm. So it reminded me, it gave me vibes of that.
Yeah.
Like
there was one spot that I liked that, very heelish, where Sasha used the bottom rope to look like she hyperextended Bianca's arm.
Yeah.
It was kind of, really nasty tactics to make you want to root for Bianca. So
Yeah. No, it was, like I said, much like the men's championship match, it had a great mix of power moves and technical wrestling. Mm-hmm. And I loved every minute of it.
Yeah. So, I just want to say, when you saw how hard they wrestled, if you think that the women aren't just as tough as the men in WWE, you're out of your mind.
And also, I think this is proof that the women should get longer matches on the weekly shows.
Oh, I would agree. And like I said, and give WWE credit for building up the women's division so we can have this type of match.
Yeah, but I want to see longer matches from the women on the weekly TV.
Yeah. So what was your rating here?
Oh, this is a 5-star match for me.
Okay, I gave it 4.5. There were a couple little spots that I thought weren't perfect, but this is, this is in my top 3. We'll discuss that at the end of the show. But this match, I loved it. So
perfect.
Yeah.
All right, that's.
And Bianca Belair, I think she's going to be a huge star, and we may have seen something, the kickoff of a monumental career with her. So provided she stays healthy, of course. So
yeah, I mean, I think she'll have a good reign, a good run with the title. I don't know who will eventually challenge her, if it'll be an ongoing feud. Like, I don't know if Sasha will win it back from her.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, I think there is a program with Becky Lynch in the future, even though they're both faces. Now, I do want to say...
it depends if Becky goes back to Raw or Smack. Like, depends where Becky lands.
Right. Well, but we could see, like, uniting the titles for a while or something like that at, like, next year's WrestleMania.
Yeah.
The match I really would like to see once this person gets a little bit more seasoning, if Jade Cargill from AEW ever comes over to WWE, imagine Bianca versus Jade Cargill. Oh. You're talking about 2 big, strong women going against one another. That would be awesome. Yeah. So,
can I just, you brought up Jade Cargill, so I feel compelled on the list.
and you aren't alone. Jade Cargill is.
I told you, Donnie, there's going to be a lot of clicking today.
Okay, so how about we go on to night number 2?
Night 2, yeah.
Night 2. And it opened up with The Fiend versus Randy Orton. And I got to say, this was a decent match. It wasn't as good as I think it could have been. First of all, I didn't like the orange light or the red light, whatever it was that they...
It reminded me of the theatrical version of Justice League with the discoloration. I was like, what is this lighting?
Yeah, it was, it really hindered your vision of the match, and I don't know why they decided to do that.
I get it's the Fiend and his whole, is he a demon from hell, all kind of jazz, but like Kane's matches were not all doused in red.
No, you can still do that and then have things go back to normal once the match starts.
Yeah.
So,
or do that at the end of the match, the red stuff.
So we had this giant, I don't know, Jack in the Box, whatever, at ringside. First of all, I also thought this match was too short.
Oh, absolutely. I agreed.
Yeah. And, WWE, they never seem to get the best out of the Fiend in big events.
But the thing is, to me, they're building him up like this, almost like he's the love child of the Undertaker and Mankind.
Mm-hmm.
This mystical freak, crazy, demonish kind of thing. But then, how many times have I seen him be a jobber at a main event, like at a main pay-per-view? I don't get it. Yeah. The booking is so weird with him.
Yeah, and to me, I mean,
it's like they want him to be a star, but can he be that? Like, it's like there's this kind of tug of war going on.
And Randy Orton really doesn't need it at this point. Randy Orton is always going to be a main event star. Yeah. His matches are always going to be important. So, and now I will say this, there was the tribute to Brody Lee in the match when he screamed like, yeah. The Fiend did that. I got to say that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
But the match ended when the Fiend, he did the mandible claw, and then he set up Orton for Sister Abigail, and all of a sudden here comes one of your multiverse wives.
I did it before, but she's on this night, so on the list.
She emerges from the box and she starts bleeding black ooze. So my guess is that Null, the symbiote god, has arrived in the WWE universe.
All right, Alexa. I got a question now.
Okay.
my alternate, multiverse version of Alexa, not the one that's engaged to that singer dude.
Okay.
Whatever. But Earth. I'm not going to reveal what Earth my version's on. But anyway, is she cheating with Eddie Brock? Because I don't know what this. I don't like this, Donnie. I don't like what this implies.
That's the first thing I thought of was King in Black. I was like,
Adam's getting angry. If I find out there's some shenanigans going on, I got many multiverse wives. I can listen. I'll just go over to another different one. Yeah. You want to cheat on me? I'll show you. I'll fix you.
Yeah. So, and I got to say this too. Orton picks up the pin. He hits the RKO. Picks up the pin. The crowd actually booed after the lights came back on. They didn't know what to make of it.
Yeah, I didn't either. And I'm like, first of all, from the Fiend's point of view, listen, I get being distracted by Alexa Bliss. I'm right there with you. 9 yards. But I just could you not have accomplished the same thing? Because to me, what it sets up is that Alexa Bliss is going to split off from the Fiend and be this dark demon in her own right.
Yeah. Well, and there are rumors that that she is going to have another Fiend herself. I don't know if those are true at this point.
Well, if they are, can I apply? Because I'll put I'll put a mask on and run around. And I don't know if I'll give people the mandible claw because sanitary reasons and pandemic and all that. But I could come up with a different move. I could I got a foreign object right here. I just put some fancy stuff on it. There we go.
Yeah.
But I'm of the belief that you could have accomplished the same thing at the end, and also have the Fiend win the match. Like, imagine this twist for an ending. If Alexa or the Fiend wins, right? Alexa comes in the ring. You think they're going to celebrate. And then the makeup starts dripping like it is. And what if she turns around, kicks the Fiends in the jewels, and then does Sister Abigail on the Fiend?
Yeah.
That accomplishes the same goal, but you just had the Fiend win a match.
Right. So I'm going to give this match 2.5 stars. It wasn't without its merits, but it still could have accomplished more.
Yeah.
So
the match itself. 2.5. But I've also realized, Donnie, that I may need to go see some sort of psychiatrist because I should not find Alexa Bliss looking like that attractive. And yet there I was finding her attractive. So, folks, after this episode is over, I may have to go for a psychiatrist evaluation. I just want to put that out there. So there it is.
Well, like I said, it immediately made me think about, Null, the symbiote god. If you haven't read that from Marvel, that's what it made me think of.
That's it. She's cheating on me with Venom. I don't like
it. So the next matchup, we have the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler against Tamina and Natalya. Excuse me, Nia Jax.
Yeah.
I got to say this. This was a match. 4 big, tough women who work stiff. And again, if you don't think the women are just as tough in WWE as the men, you're out of your mind. These women, they got in there, they worked stiff, they sold.
Yeah.
This was it was like, kind of old school NWA type of wrestling where they were just letting the shots fly.
Yeah.
And really just an amazing a lot of good exchanges, a lot of really, stiff, tough moves. What do you think?
Oh yeah, like every move felt like it hurt. And three of these 4 women are incredibly technically gifted performers.
Yeah.
Nia is more just full on power than anything else. But that has its place when you have 3 other people that can bring the other stuff. Like I give Tamina a lot of credit because she's got the same, power move aspect as Nia, but she has the added element of she can actually wrestle. Like she can put you in any number of holds.
Right.
So gotta give respect to that.
And I really like the ending here. I got to say, Natalya, she had the sharpshooter locked on Nia Jax.
Yeah.
And Nia Jax. I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep saying Nia. But anyway, Nia Jax. And
it's not the Matrix. She's not Neo's sister. Come on, Donnie, get it together.
But she didn't realize that Shayna Baszler was the legal woman.
Yeah.
And so Baszler comes up from behind, locks in the Kirifuda clutch, and Natalya goes out. And I liked how tight that ending was. It really made sense.
But again, and also it keeps both teams strong because the only reason they lost was because of a tag that was made while Natalya was preoccupied, so she didn't know that a different competitor was in the ring.
But that's superb storytelling, I gotta say.
And you could continue the feud. So if Natalya and Tamina continue to be in the title picture, which I think they should be, I really think they should be the ones to defeat Nia and at least for now. So it seems like they're going to continue to be in the title picture because we saw on SmackDown, Natalya beat was it Nia or Shayna? It was Shayna, right?
Yes, yeah. And people seem to really like Nia and Tamina going face to face. They like the two of them going head to head and exchanging those big blows.
Yeah.
So.
And so I think they're going to continue to be in the title picture, but you can only do that if you have that kind of finish that we had.
Right.
Because if Shayna and Nia beat them clean, then you've effectively said that's it for these two, right? So. How I personally would book it if I was going forward, I'd have, at the next pay-per-view, a rematch, have Tamina and Natalya dethrone the champs, become the champs, and then have one of the other younger teams, preferably either the Riot Squad or Mandy and Dana, eventually take the titles from them at like a bigger event like SummerSlam or Survivor Series, because the added bonus of that is Natalya has trained a lot of these younger women, these younger women, and I'm sure she had a hand in working with the Riot Squad when they were coming up through NXT, and also working with Dana and Mandy. So the pupil beating the teacher eventually for a title, I think would be phenomenal storytelling. And you can work that in where Natalya is more cocky, where, I touch everything, I help train you. You can't beat me. And then eventually one of those teams does. I think that would be a great storytelling. So, that's how I'd book it. But,
Right.
I don't know.
So I said 3.5 stars, 3.5 stars for this match. Love the ending. So
I'm the same, 3.5.
Yeah. So next up we had Kevin Owens against Sami Zayn with Logan Paul. So, so the crowd, they really erupted in boos when Sami Zayn was introduced with Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Owens definitely.
I think that's more for Logan Paul because he's a little bit controversial.
Right. Again, I didn't have the greatest knowledge of Logan Paul, but at least he stayed on the outside of the ring until the match was over.
Yeah.
The match started off kind of slow, but man, did it pick up in the middle. And I think it turned itself into a 4-star match. So I'm giving away my rating there, I guess. But I really like, Owens, he hit this running clothesline in the corner. He attempted a second one. Zayn hit him, went for a kick. Owens hit a super kick, hit the stunner and pinned him. The crowd popped. A lot of good back and forth wrestling there. A lot of stiff moves. And again, the crowd was into it. So, yeah. A lot of high impact, a lot of nice counters.
Agreed. The storytelling has done a great job of making us kind of, I don't know if hate Sami Zayn is the right word, but they've done a good job of making us annoyed with his...
Yeah, annoying was exactly the word that I was going to use.
With his conspiracy theory BS.
Yes.
Right? So you want to see him get his butt kicked. And
yes, because we see enough of that on the news, people claiming conspiracy theories. So WWE's milking that.
Yeah,
so.
And that's also probably why they paired him with Logan Paul, who's controversial.
Yes.
Add to the we really don't like this guy angle.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost got as much enjoyment out of watching Sami Zayn get beat up by Kevin Owens as I did Shane McMahon get beat up by Braun Strowman.
Strowman, yeah.
And Sami Zayn is one hell of a in-ring performer. Like he can, for a big man, he can fly as well. Like he.
You mean Kevin Owens?
Yeah, isn't that what I said?
No, you said Sami Zayn. So.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they're both great performers. It's just you look at Kevin Owens, you don't necessarily expect him to be able to move the way he does.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
And I like that he's appropriated the stunner.
Mm-hmm.
And
he does it well.
He does. I think Stone Cold would be proud.
Yeah.
And at the end, I loved, again, because Logan Paul is a bit of a controversial figure. I loved seeing him get stunned as well.
The crowd seemed to agree with you too. They definitely liked him getting stunned.
Yeah,
So what's your rating on this match?
I'd probably give it a 3.5.
Okay.
It was good, but it just, a little short, I thought.
Well, and like I said, I think it started a little bit slow. I've seen them have better matches, with other opponents or whatever, but it was still a great match, especially at the end.
Yeah.
So next up was Sheamus against Matt Riddle, or now I guess they're just calling him Riddle, for the United States title. So the fans chanted "Bro" as Riddle came to the ring, riding his scooter. And I got to say this. I think Matt Riddle is a great athlete. I don't get this gimmick because I really don't think it's a gimmick.
He's talented. He's got all the wrestling talent in the world.
But saying "bro" repeatedly, that's not a gimmick.
Martial arts background, obviously he's got, and I respect that. Being a martial artist myself, I respect that. This gimmick is horrendous.
Exactly.
He reminds me of, remember Aquaman on Smallville?
Yes.
That. And that wasn't good. Alan Ritchson, the actor who played it, can prove he can do much better. Mm-hmm. Just look at Titans and you'll see. But this whole bro gimmick and riding around on a scooter, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you can be in a PG-13 era, but the gimmicks don't have to be stupid. Just because we're PG-13, you don't have to dumb down your audience.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a gimmick like Riddle's does. So I was actually happy to see Sheamus beat the crap out of him.
Likewise.
Sheamus is supposed to be it's supposed to be the heel. Exactly. But I was cheering for him.
Yeah. And likewise, the next night on Raw, when Bobby Lashley just squashed Riddle, I thought that was great. I'm wondering if that means a repackaging is on the way, because he just went out there and just wiped the floor with Riddle. So
I hope so. He's too talented to be doing this stupid garbage.
Yeah.
Um,
Repackage the guy and let's see what else he has in store.
And also, I like Sheamus. Here's why I kind of root for Sheamus, even though he's trying to be the heel. He wasn't he Rocksteady, I think?
Yes.
In one of the Ninja Turtles movies.
Yes.
So you always get bonus points for me when you do that.
Being part of that mythos, yes. So as far as the match for WrestleMania, I did like the finish. Riddle went for a moonsault, and Sheamus hit him with a brogue kick. And while Riddle was in midair, and he pinned him, there were a couple spots in this match where they kind of slipped up a little bit. The main one being Sheamus tried to do a move from the top rope, and he slipped off the rope. A couple of loose spots, a couple of blown spots. So I'd say 3.5 stars. It really wasn't bad, but I like Sheamus winning here, and I hope it leads to a repackaging for Riddle.
It was decent, like you said. I'll give it a 3.5, like you. But the main takeaway is that Sheamus won, and I think that's the best way to go. I don't think a lot of people. I mean, the crowd maybe, but again, Florida being Florida, I'm hard pressed to think that most fans actually like what Riddle goes out there and does from a gimmick standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Respect all his talent completely, but the gimmick sucks.
Yeah. Like I said, I completely agree. All right. So next up we have Big E versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship in a Nigerian drum fight.
Now, Donnie, just answer me a question.
Okay, I'll try.
Does this whole heel Nigerian thing that Apollo Crews is doing seem kind of inappropriate, disrespectful?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I mean, it's kind of like okay, back in the 80s, you could get away with the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
I hate America, spitting on the flag, all that. Like back in the 80s, you can get away with that stuff. But in 2021, Apollo Crews clearly putting on an accent, because we know he doesn't talk like that.
Right.
Saying, "Oh, I'm Nigerian royalty," blah blah blah. Like it seems like the worst stereotypical stuff I've ever seen.
Well, I was just going to say, a lot of people said that this was somewhat, not somewhat. This was insensitive. The drums on the outside of the ring, not to mention confusing because the drums didn't really have anything to do with the match.
Yeah, I mean, at least if Apollo had hit Big E with the drums, you can say he used the drums,
right? But like you, I mean, and I've heard that it was actually Apollo's idea. I don't know if that was the case or not, but.
What, the match or the gimmick?
The gimmick, the drums. I've heard it's. I don't know if that was the case or not, but regardless, WWE, they have kind of a mixed history when it comes to being sensitive racially. So I don't think this was the best idea because ultimately it was just a weapons match. They didn't need the drums there anyway. So, but that being said, it was a really good match.
It was.
I like both of these guys. My absolute favorite move of the entire pay-per-view both nights was when Big E speared Apollo through the ropes and they both flew off the ring apron. Now, you see guys fly through the ropes, but never the two of them together, and to go that far, that was really dangerous and really impressive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there was also a maneuver on the apron, right? I think.
Yes, there was a maneuver on the apron, and there was one where Big E slammed him from the apron to the half of the ring steps.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was great.
Wow, yeah. So Big E, he hit the big ending after, they used a lot of different weapons, which I thought was, again, I don't mind that because there weren't a lot of other weapons used on the show. So, but then Daba Kato comes out and he helps Apollo win, and the announcers acted like they didn't know who Daba was, which he's been on Raw Underground and NXT, and but anyway, and I'll say too, I understand that they're trying to get Apollo over, and I don't have a problem with that. I do like his ring gear, by the way.
Yeah.
But why does Big E have to lose in his own hometown? You know, why couldn't they just wait a week?
Yeah, normally you wouldn't do that.
Right.
That was, again, that was one of the shocking results that I didn't, like I said, remember I told you I thought Drew was going to win. I thought Big E was going to win for the simple fact that he's in his hometown. He'll retain the title. That didn't happen. So it was shocking. It's like, to me, it feels like they're doing with Apollo. It's like a Bizarro Black Panther kind of persona.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I think the longer this goes on, the more that they have the chance to do something that is just going to do.
Here's the thing.
Be bad press for them.
If they had introduced Apollo as this character, maybe I could buy it.
Right.
But I've heard him speak prior to this, and there's no hint of a Nigerian accent whatsoever. No. And it sounds like, here's the worst part. It sounds like he's putting on an accent.
Yeah.
Like, remember Razor Ramon? Maybe because I was a kid and I was stupid, but I could buy that. Okay, this guy is like Mexican, Spanish, whatever.
Yeah.
Like the suspension of disbelief was there. Mm-hmm. Only when he went to WCW and he was talking normally, then I'm like, wait a minute. He's not actually of Mexican or Spanish descent. Interesting. Yeah. But with this guy, like, they've already introduced him. I've heard him speak normal Americanized English. So this accent just throws it. It's like it makes you want to laugh at him. It's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and like I said, WWE, I don't. They just need to be. They need to be careful here. I just don't know.
It's just a matter of time before they piss somebody off. You and I both know it.
Yeah. Anyway, but I'll say this, like I said, I didn't think Big E should have lost in his own hometown. I think they should have waited on that.
It wasn't a good, and see, there's Triple H saying, yeah, we know the accent's going to go. I got a direct line to Triple H, folks. Turns out it's actually my sister, so it's not as fun. But anyway.
What does Triple H, what are you saying about the pay-per-view?
But, yeah. Both guys in the ring are great. I'll give it a 3.5.
That was my exact rating. I think it came in higher. I will say this: I think now would be the time for Big E to have a feud with Roman Reigns. He wouldn't necessarily need to win, but I think it would elevate him to have a feud with Roman.
But again, yeah, I think they've got to get somebody believable in there that could beat Roman Reigns, and Big E is one of those guys that I could think.
Yes.
Power on power would be able to do it. And I think the crowd would go nuts if Big E beat Roman Reigns. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Big E, by the way, on top of that, is just, away from wrestling and his persona, he seems like a really wonderful man. He's involved in a lot of charitable causes. Just seems like a wonderful guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah. So, all right, next up we have Rhea Ripley against Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. So, full disclosure, I'm a little biased for Asuka. She's one of my favorite wrestlers.
See, I'm the total opposite way.
Go ahead, sir. But I think Asuka, she's just energy personified, and I really did like this match. And you heard kind of dueling chants for, let's go Asuka, let's go Rhea.
Yeah, it was a 50-50 split, for sure.
Yeah.
I love Asuka's energy. Her work rate is incredible. Mm-hmm. They've been turning her into a bit of a joke recently.
Okay.
With the screaming in Japanese, the dancing around, they've made such a formidable fighter and character into a little bit of a joke.
Okay.
So I was starting to get tired of it. So I'm like, please let Rhea win this match. Full disclosure, I think if Charlotte Flair had not gotten the virus and been on the card, Charlotte would have been in the match and Charlotte would have won. That's my assumption.
That's a good point. Yeah. Eventually we're going to see Rhea Ripley against, Charlotte for the belt, I would think.
And they'll probably put the belt on Charlotte, which I think they shouldn't. But at least let Rhea have a couple of months of a run with it.
Right.
Like, at least let her beat some people.
Well, she's definitely believable. I mean, this match, this was another one of those lots of legitimate-looking strikes, lots of
both
credible
women
mat
are so
hold.
talented, yeah.
There was a really tight knee bar spot that I liked. And also my second favorite spot of the night, really dangerous. I'm glad nobody got hurt, and that was the DDT from the apron.
Yeah, I was going to call that out. That was my favorite spot.
Again, glad that Rhea didn't get hurt on that, but that looks great. And I'm glad Asuka didn't get hurt on that either.
Yeah.
So
that was the spot of the match.
Yeah.
But I mean, Rhea is just an imposing figure. Like, she's a tall, powerful woman. And I'll say, I mean, the makeup was a little dark for my taste, but other than that, Rhea Ripley on the list.
Yeah.
Gonna have to come after this show.
So Asuka, she rocked Rhea with a bunch of kicks. Again, very legitimate looking kicks.
Yeah.
And I like how Rhea kept challenging her, and Asuka went for another one, and she ducked, meaning Rhea ducked out of the way, and she hit the Riptide for the win. Gave this match 4 stars, almost a 4.5. This was the 4th best match of the card, in my opinion. Almost made it to spot number 3. But, just another really strong outing for the ladies of the WWE.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4.5. I think both women were exceptional. They both end up looking good. But clearly, and I don't mean to disparage Rhea when I say if Charlotte was in the match with Asuka, that was the original plan. It seemed like it was the original plan. I think the plan was to introduce Rhea and give her a push anyway. But then circumstances elevated her push a little bit.
Right.
But it's undeniable that on her first stint as a Raw superstar, in her first actual match, as part of the main roster, she wins the title. That's impressive.
Yeah.
And she's somebody believable that you think to yourself, who could stop her? Like, she could have a legitimately long run.
Definitely. So, and I didn't think, losing this doesn't necessarily hurt Asuka. I still think, people will still follow her. Again, she brings a kind of unique energy to the ring. So
I actually liked her and Charlotte as a tag team.
Likewise. That was a good story too. I like that that
I liked
angle.
them as champions for a bit, yeah. Yeah.
So before the big main event, we get Bayley coming out with Titus and Hulk Hogan. Bayley looking like an angry librarian. The Bellas made an appearance and knocked her around.
Okay, the Bella twins on the list. I gotta say, Donnie, I can't. Maybe you disagree. Again, nothing to do with her in-ring ability. This is character.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so tired of Bayley.
Well, I mean, I think that's the purpose of the character, is to get you annoyed.
But I was annoyed with her from before.
Okay. Well, that's, like I said, I mean, that's the purpose of this character.
Whether it was the hugger.
The hugger, right.
Or she thinks, I'm the best. No, you've annoyed me since day one. Now she's just pulling off a ripoff of the librarian character from the AEW. At least that's what it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Leah Bates better on AEW because I know that outside of the ring, she's a nerd. She's a comic book fan. So I already like her because of that. So, yeah, honest to God, if Bianca Belair loses to Bayley at some point, you're going to hear me complain.
Well, yeah.
So be prepared in case.
Yeah. And again, I got to say this too. I thought Titus O'Neil did a great job. I think he should be a permanent co-host, at least for a few years. That way, if you get somebody in...
Was he ever injured, Donnie? Is that why he doesn't wrestle anymore?
I know he was injured at one point. I don't think that this has anything to do with the injury, though. I'm not sure exactly why he doesn't wrestle. I'd have to go look that up.
Okay.
But let me just say, if you do have a co-host who, for whatever reason, is struggling, you have Titus there to kind of be the anchor. So yeah. I think Titus should be in that role for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So we come down to the match that everybody was anticipating, and that is for the Universal Championship. Daniel Bryan versus Edge versus Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman and Jey Uso at ringside. So I will say this, this match was everything that I hoped it would be. You know, some people, I know it was a little controversial with Daniel Bryan being added at the last minute to make it a triple threat, but the way it unfolded, I thought it was just beautiful. I mean, it really had me riveted the whole time.
I thought the build to the story was fine. I was fine with adding Daniel.
Yeah.
Because they built it up well, so I was okay with it.
So Bryan comes out. People were doing the yes chant. There were a few boos. Again, some people really wanted Edge to have a one-on-one match. Edge comes out. He got lots of chants, lots of fan cheering. Edge, who, by the way, has great taste. He's a Maple Leaf fan.
I got to support Edge. He's my homeboy from Toronto. He's a Leaf fan. He's got a belt. The belt behind me is amazing.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one belt over it, Edge has a championship belt, Toronto Maple Leaf inspired championship belt. Oh, I want one of those things.
I've seen that Maple Leafs belt. That thing is gorgeous. So yeah. But lot of this was it was a long, grueling match.
It was about a half-hour match. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You saw Jey Uso on the outside trying to even the odds for Roman.
Yeah.
Bunch of chair shots. Concertos. My favorite spot of the match, though, was the double yes lock on Roman with the chair, which I hope that chair leg or whatever it was, that piece of metal was clean because he put it in his mouth. And, Edge and Daniel Bryan both hooked the yes lock in on him. And that was just that was an amazing visual there.
Just a side note, I'm pretty sure Roman Reigns got his vaccine.
Yeah.
given his situation, I'm pretty sure.
But definitely, I know, but still, for whatever reason, it's kind of yucky to think about.
I still won't put a chair in my mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Putting random objects in your mouth, that's kind of gross.
If Alexa Bliss said, "I'll go on a date with you if you put this chair in your mouth," then all bets are probably off. But otherwise.
Well, that would be an interesting podcast. Let's see what we can get Adam to put in his mouth.
No. Again, it's the condition of Alexa Bliss has to be like a date with Alexa Bliss has to be on the table. Otherwise, it's an unstart. Okay. So if you can contact Alexa Bliss and get her to go on a lunch date with me, then we'll have a conversation. Otherwise,
okay, all right, I'll see what I can do. So near the end though, Edge hit a bunch of chair shots on both guys. Uso hit the ring, made the save. That gave Reigns a chance to get up, recover. He hit Edge with a spear and then the concerto. And then I really like the visual of Reigns taking Edge over, putting him on Daniel Bryan and pinning them both.
Yeah, that was a great finish.
He pinned both Daniel Bryan and Edge. I really liked how that looked.
He had said he was going to do that, and they played it out exactly the way he said it.
Exactly. And I got to say, this was, I thought, maybe the biggest symbol for WWE that they have arrived at the point they wanted to, because they've wanted Reigns to be the guy for a number of years.
Yeah.
But first the fans, they kind of rejected him as a baby face. Then, unfortunately, again, he had his cancer diagnosis. Had to feel bad for the guy there. But now he's back full force. And even though the fans are rooting against him, they are buying him as the centerpiece of this company.
Oh, yeah. I also think that he works best in a villain persona.
And this match, I got to say, this is probably the best match that I've seen in about 2 years. Probably since Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania 35.
But Donnie, I gotta say though, I was shocked because I legitimately thought that Edge was going to win the match.
Well, and I think a lot of people did. Yeah.
I thought Edge was going to get one last run with the title. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's still a possibility, or if WrestleMania was it for Edge, because we didn't see him on SmackDown, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and the top of the program here, we talked about Bobby Lashley, him performing at a level due to his age that's really amazing. You know, Edge is even older. Edge is, 47?
Yeah.
And
he's had concussion issues.
Yeah, exactly. And for him to go,
career
he really
ending.
did. Yeah, he looked like the old Edge. I mean,
he definitely looked like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I hope he's not. I hope that wasn't his last match. Selfishly, being a Canadian and being a Leaf fan, I want to see him get one more run with the titles.
No, that wouldn't bother me at all. But again, you know, WWE, they really hit the mark finally with Roman Reigns. And so, you know, obviously I'm happy for him coming back from, you know, being ill. And this was overall just a really enjoyable pay-per-view. Like I said, other than the Bad Bunny stuff.
Again, I think, you know what I think was beautiful about this? I think.
Other than Alexa.
Yeah. She's always on point. But honestly, I don't think there's ever a situation, at least for me, there is no situation where that woman can look not appealing to me. Cannot, you know what I mean? But I'm getting tongue twisted just talking about it. But I think they really pushed Roman to, you know, like they really made him seem like this unbeatable force. But also Edge came out of it looking strong, and so too did Daniel Bryan. So nobody comes out of this looking like a loser or less strong than before. So.
Yeah, I actually I watched this match 3 times because it was so entertaining. I just really liked the story that they told. Even Paul Lee on the outside of the ring, if you see his facial expressions when Roman's in trouble, that in and of itself was entertaining. So
yeah.
So obviously, you know, I'm going to rate this as 5 stars.
Yeah.
What's your rating, sir?
Yeah, same. It's a 5-star match for sure.
Okay, so give us your top 3 of the event.
Okay, so third will be, well, which one did I say? It was really good. Third would be Bobby Lashley and Drew.
Okay.
Second would be the triple threat, Roman versus Edge versus Daniel. And top match of the night for me, because of the emotion around it, and then the final product, was Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair.
What do you know? We got the same 3 matches, just in a little bit different order.
That's fair.
Yeah, I had the I had the women's match at number 3 with Bianca versus Sasha. WWE title match number 2, and the Universal match is number 1. So we picked the same one, just in a little different order.
That's fine. Yeah. That's
Congratulations to really all the participants in those matches. Really amazing performances from everyone. So
yeah, and it left such a good vibe with me that I can't wait to the next pay-per-view to see where things go.
Good point.
And it seems like we're going to get a lot of WrestleMania rematches because it's being dubbed as,
WrestleMania Backlash.
Yeah, so a couple of WrestleMania rematches are in order.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be fun to see how that plays out. But yeah, solid night, solid 2 nights. So another good WrestleMania in the books.
Yes. But
we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we hope you enjoyed us discussing it and sharing our thoughts on it. If you want to continue the wrestling discussion with us, you can follow us on social media. So, Donnie, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter as the Emerald Enthusiast. You can also find me on YouTube, where I do Green Lantern product reviews. So hit me up on Twitter. Let's talk wrestling. Let's talk comics. Let's talk Green Lantern.
Awesome. And you can talk to me about wrestling or any other superhero if you want at Adam_LeafsFan, which is my personal Twitter. The podcast network Twitter is at MMNPDC. So check that out. And then we also have a Facebook group, which is going to be listed in the links below. Give that a click. Ask for permission to join, and I will add you, and we can continue the conversation on Facebook if you like. But we hope you enjoyed it. We hope that you look forward to more of our wrestling discussion, as it will happen. And we want you, until next time, to remember that WWE and WrestleMania. Actually, change it up on the fly.
You have me on pins and needles.
WrestleMania is then, now, and forever, from the first WrestleMania to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone.
We are tired.